So one of the strangest Nintendo exclusives we have ever had was Yokai Watch. So if you never heard of Yokai Watch before, probably not. Yokai Watch was a massive failure in the West, obviously. It was very, very successful for a time in Japan. And actually the game was giving a one Pokemon a run for its money. But the series declined in popularity, and I think I know exactly the reason why Yokai Watch declined in popularity. It's because they were making too many Yokai Watch games. Like, there was really a Yokai Watch game every year. I know Pokemon does the same thing, but between Pokemon's Gen 1 and 2, there was still a few years time skip so the fandom can develop and create. And then they still had a few, and then they started, and then once Game Boy Advance came out, they realized, hey, Pokemon is very huge. It sells tens of millions of copies, and then stuff like third versions started existing and stuff as well, like Pokemon Crystal, Pokemon Emerald. You had Gen 3 released, and you had remakes of older games, and that has been the cycle ever since then. As well, and then of course in the Switch era they introduced the Legends games to even extend the Pokemon series even more. But I think the problem with Yokai Watch is they kept us making games and didn't change anything. The difference between Pokemon and the early Pokemon games and Yokai Watch is that Yokai Watch, it was the same game every single time. Okay, Pokemon, you had new things being introduced, like new. Like of course, they had new monsters in like every new Yokai Watch game. Also, the Yokai Watch monsters are way more uglier than the Pokemon designs. I know people like really, but they are way more uglier than the Pokemon designs. Okay, there's a reason why Pokemon has been so successful. It's because Pokemon had very great artists and very great designers. Even to this day, there are still very great designed Pokemon. Even if you like the newer games or not, there are still so many good Pokemon designs. Like the legendary box art legendaries are usually always epic and cool looking. Or you have your cute Pokemon, but all of the Yokai Watch characters seem to be like some like weird looking monsters. And yeah, I get yokai are like monsters in Japan. That's basically yokai. Even like those Pokemon based off of yokai. Basically, yokai is like a Japanese monster. But I think the reason why Yokai Watch failed, like even in Japan, is because people got franchise fatigue. Because franchise fatigue is a real thing. Obviously, that exists. And once Yokai Watch 4 released, people got sick of Yokai Watch because it just felt like they were just making the same games over and over and over again without adding anything new. Pokemon had added new things like double battles and stuff by Gen 3 and added, more and more different mechanics every new game. As much as I hate the whole thing of generational gimmicks, this kind of helps Pokemon every new Pokemon generation feel fresh and new. Meanwhile, like a game like Yokai Watch, what I've seen, they have basically kept the same gameplay. And also the difference between Yokai Watch and Pokemon is that Yokai Watch is very similar to Miitopia. Your characters you don't really have control over your characters besides like one character. Yeah, I don't like Miitopia that much. I know Miitopia is a funny game, but the gameplay of Miitopia is not very good. Honestly, I like the idea of having control over your characters and actually being able to select your moves instead of having to be a random input. I think the reason why Pokemon was so successful was because of its turn-based movement, unlike Yokai Watch, where it was just random inputs as well. I know some people want to get rid of the whole turn-based input in Pokemon, but the whole gameplay loop was what made Pokemon work in the first place as well. It had a lot of strategy to Pokemon, unlike in Yokai Watch, where there wasn't very much strategy involved with Yokai Watch. I think the whole reason why Yokai Watch failed was because it was not a Yokai Watch games. I think eventually got tired and bored, and the whole phenomenon, unlike Pokemon, which stayed around for decades, has never caught on, and now Yokai Watch is a dead franchise, even in Japan. And of course, Game Freak has had competitors in the past, like Digimon in the 2000s, and now in the 2020s, Power World. But again, Nintendo's trying to take down Power World as well. So yeah, that's about this video here. Goodbye.